Today we're going to be estimating the value of non-perfect square numbers. Before you can do this, you need to have memorized your perfect squares, and we can estimate where the square root would fall between. Let's take a look at an example. What is the square root of 76? So the first thing we're going to think about is a number that's slightly smaller than 76, that's a perfect square, and one that's slightly bigger, that's a perfect square. So if I go smaller, the first one I come to that's closest would be the square root of 64, which would be equal to 8. Going a little bit larger would be the square root of 81, which is equal to 9. Therefore, I know that the square root of 76 lies somewhere between 8 and 9. Now we need to figure out exactly where in between it lies. In order to do this, we could take a look at a number line. The first thing we're going to do is think about what we're trying to find, the square root of 76. How far away is 76 from 64, our first perfect square we found? 76 lies 12 units away from 64. Then we need to look at how far away 64 is away from the perfect square of 81. That distance would be 17 units. We can use those two numbers, part over whole, to form a fraction, 12/17. We now know that the square root of 76 would be about 8 and 12/17. If you remember, we got 8 from the square root of 64 is 8. The square root of 81 was 9. It lies between 8 and 9, so we know it's going to be 8. And it lies 12/17 of the way. Now we can change the 12/17 into a decimal to estimate the square root. 12 divided by 17, rounded to the nearest hundredth, would give us 71 hundredths. Therefore, the estimated square root of 76 would be 8 and 71 hundredths. Let's try another one. What is the square root of 129? So our first step again would be to get a perfect square that's smaller than 129 and slightly larger than 129. I chose 121, and that square root would be 11. And slightly larger would be the square root of 144, which is equal to 12. Therefore, we know that the square root of 129 lies somewhere between 11 and 12. So it's going to be 11 and some fraction of a number. Let's take a look at the number line to figure out that fraction. So we're trying to find the square root of 129, which is located right here on our number line. We're finding the distance, the part of the way on the number line, up to 129, which would be 8 units. And the entire distance, the whole, would be 23 units. Therefore, we know it is 8/23 of the distance. The square root of 121 was 11. The square root of 144 was 12. Therefore, we know it's going to be 11 and 8/23. Now we're going to estimate what the decimal form would be. I can divide 8 by 23, round to the nearest hundredth, and I get my estimated square root of 129 would be 11 and 35 hundredths. I hope this helped you learn how to estimate square roots.